Can I just make it absolutely clear now that I'm only here because the producer said I had to be? I don't like fire. I hate video games. I hate outdoor pursuits. I hate the idea that I've got to push my body to find the limit.
Now, make me feel it. Make me feel alive again. I've been waiting for this day. Hurt me more. Do you remember, Snake? The feel of battle. The clashing of bone and sinew.
There is no shortage in reviews and essays of the Soulsborne franchise, a series of punishingly hard games loved by many, with a vast world to explore and enticing lore to discover. This game's atmosphere goes from quiet and contemplative, to dark and terrifying, to tense and violent. Dark Souls and Demon Souls sparked a button of imitators and successors, Fromsoftware themselves experimenting and improving the formula over the years, surpassing the description of hard action games with a stamina gauge, which some of the mimics of this series are like just that. They're just that. It's kind of sad. So, how does the gameplay go? Well, it's quite simple. So just for simplification, I grew up with the PlayStation line of consoles. I am so accustomed to the PS face button so much that to this day, I'm still confused where the X and Y buttons are when I play on my Switch. So I'm very sorry about that. So just early notice, yeah? Okay, movement is simple. You move with the left analog stick and you move the camera with the right analog stick. Easy so far. On the left bottom corner of the screen, you will see 4 boxes that show different items. The box above shows the spell or pyromancy you have active. The left box shows your offhand weapon or your shield. The right box shows the active weapon you have equipped. Well, I mean, I guess you can equip a shield on it too, but besides being left-handed or like wanting to be Captain America, I don't know why you want to do that. Anyway, and the bottom you have active items. You can have 3 of each weapon, shield, or offhand item on the left and right. Equip 8 to 10 items on the bottom slot. And on the top, let me see here. You can have 3 or more slots depending on your attunements. Wait, let me search that on Google. Holy crap, you can equip 10 if your attunement is 99? Why do you need that many? Anyway, moving on. The L1 and R1 button, depending on what you have equipped, does a light attack or when held, raises your shield. The L2 and R2 buttons uses a strong attack or does a parry animation. On later games like Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, you can use the L2 button to use your skill. In Dark Souls 3, some shields allow you to use your weapon skill, and in Elden Ring, you can change the skill equipped to your shield, or just remove them altogether, which allows you to use L2 for your weapon skill. I won't go in depth with Elden Ring mechanics, that is not the point of the current video right now. Continuing further, if you are using a catalyst for miracles or spells, the buttons cast spells you've equipped. What does L2 and R2 buttons do with them when you have them equipped? I have no idea! I've never played the magic build in Dark Souls or Elden Ring. Finally, the face buttons. Square uses the active item. You crouch with the X button.
Hyper clock up!
Hello, this is me from the future. The X button does not do shit in the older games. Crouch is a feature in Elden Ring, And that is all.
Hyper clock over!
What? What was I saying? Why do I suddenly want milk chocolate or something? What was I doing? Oh yeah. So, controls! Control with circle, run by holding circle, press circle or L3 to jump depending on your configuration. And finally, triangle button holds the active weapon with both hands. And these face buttons are changed in Elden Ring. And I have no idea how face buttons work in Bloodborne. Very sorry. So, quite simple if I do say so myself. So, why all the time discussing the game's basic controls? It's quite simple. The controls are not what actually makes the game hard. What makes the game hard are two things. Everything costs stamina, and every fucking thing out in the world of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Demon Souls are out there to kill you, squash you like a pathetic piece of irrelevant garbage that you are. You have been called the Chosen Undead, the Bearer of the Curse, the Ashen One. Titles of a so-called special chosen soldier. You are told you are special, but you are not meant to feel that way in the game. In fact, you're pretty much not instructed what to do. The NPCs tell you your end goal, but what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it, it's all up to you. And you have to wonder, why is the game made with such difficulty? In the April 2011 issue of Edge magazine, Miyazaki outlined the criteria his team used to balance the difficulty of Dark Souls. I'll start with this quote from Miyazaki from that interview. I have no intention to make the game any easier. In fact, I want to make it more difficult. The way I put it to my team is that we are trying to make the most difficult game that is possible to make, which at the same time can be conquered by those who persevere. It has to be firm, but fair. These 5 criteria, by the way, I found first neatly enumerated in a Tumblr post, which I will link below. On with the criteria. Number 1. Any player can clear any obstacle simply by learning from mistakes and paying close attention. Number 2. The reasons for failure must always be clear and understandable. Number 3. Every problem must have multiple solutions so that the player can tackle it in whichever way they want. Number 4. The game's controls can never be a factor from which difficulty is derived, which I already covered. And finally, the last one, and my favorite, there must be a possibility for miracles to happen. Those magical moments that spread stories outside of the confines of the game world. These, I believe, are the strong foundations, formula, and mark of passion that can be felt throughout the games. You may not be able to outright see these elements in the games, but you will slowly feel them. Once you accept that these games play by their own rules, and you have to respect them, you, as a player, will slowly adapt. You will search for solutions, find weapons that suit your style, grind, look for a new path. Something will eventually click and you will find something that will work for you. And if you're still having trouble, you can always ask for help. Which brings us to the main themes of these games, which is summed up by another quote from Miyazaki from another interview. And I quote, "The intention behind the high difficulty of the games I direct is to evoke a feeling of joy and accomplishment in the player when they overcome these challenges. For being such a hard game, the Soulsborne franchise sure had its share of difficulties. It's like the developers vented all their frustrations while making the game. Just kidding. This series has one goal, and it's to have players endure hardship and overcome it in their own way. So many now know the Souls franchise and how it started with Demon Souls. It's been well documented. This segment is even inspired by a Demon Souls episode of What Happened, a video series by one Matt McMuscles. The video is hilarious, informative, and insightful. Links below because some of the information here I found there. But let's start with the basics. Demon Souls was a title released exclusively for the PS3 in 2009. A remake of the game was released late 2020. The game was directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki, who mentioned in an interview, grew up extremely poor and had no dreams. He was of no ambition until he found the game Ico, which gave him inspiration and awakened his desire to make a fantasy game of his own design. He then transitioned from an account manager to a planner in Fromsoftware for the game Armored Core Last Raven. Oh hey, what do you know? I played that. From then he moved on to direct Armored Core 4 and then Armored Core 4 Answer. And upon learning of the Demon Souls project and how it's doing, I found this quote from one of his interviews regarding the development of Demon Souls especially hilarious. And I quote, "The project had problems and the team had been unable to create a compelling prototype. But when I heard it was a fantasy action role-playing game, I was excited. I figured, if I could find the way to take control of the game, I could turn it into anything I wanted. Best of all, if my ideas failed, nobody would care. It was already a failure." The man literally took control of a failing project and shaped it into something that's his own, taking inspiration from Western fantasy in which in Japan he cited have all but disappeared. Miyazaki's direction transformed the project into a dark fantasy within a seemingly dead world with intriguing lore for players to uncover. Oh, and punishing difficulty. When the time came to demonstrate the game, let's just say a lot of people were not prepared for it, although the game did have its believers. One review from Dengeki, specifically from the editor, one Paint Yamamoto, quotes, "It's a game you learn how to play by losing. You'll face sudden death frequently, but keep playing and you'll realize how deep it really is." And I understand the reason why so many articles quote this, because this is exactly how the game was intended to be played. The difficulty of the game shocked so much people in Sony to the point they declined on publishing the game, which is a bit sad to hear. Sony definitely did not regret this and did not decide to collaborate with Fromsoftware again, and definitely, stubbornly, did not release that game from which said collab to the PC, where for some reason God of War got released to the PC first! So, Demon Souls seemingly failed in Japan. The game, however, was picked up by Atlus, of all publishers, which is kind of interesting. I want a Demi-Fiend Soulsborne game now. Anyway. Then word spread of a game that was not like all the games that were coming out at the time. A game that challenges the player and dares it to finish it. A game filled with dangerous dungeons, filled with hazards and fearsome foes. And other players who tried to trick or just plainly kill you by invading your game outright. Demon Souls received a cult following, and then Dark Souls was released. The game industry would never be the same. It spawned so many imitators and opened the eyes of many developers and publishers that there are still a lot of gamers who want a challenge. Today, the Soulsborne games are now giants. And regardless of the success of Dark Souls, I don't think Miyazaki would surrender after that. I think he and his team will try again. But now, as I said, they are giants. And now on the release of their 8th monster title, Elden Ring. A game that was first announced in 2019 and had a silent period that was so long it caused so many gamers and fans to deny the existence of the game. Hell, I think I actually even forgot that the game was announced at all. That was until another trailer of the game dropped on June 11, 2021. Followed by an announcement of a console-exclusive network test in October. People really wanted to play this game, and I myself can't deny not riding on that hype train myself. The game was finally released on February 25, 2022, and this game has consumed me. I am already 100 hours in. I finished the game once, and I made another save file just to play it again. The combat is mostly similar to the Dark Souls games, except for the addition of a jump button. But what's astoundingly beautiful is the open world. There is little directions given. There are only NPC markers which were added at a later patch. The game doesn't feel like nagging at whatever active quest you have. Don't get me wrong, this is not a criticism of the open world formula. I do love The Witcher a lot, but that game is supposed to be played in a different way. And Elden Ring is supposed to be played on its own different way, like the Dark Souls series. Which reminds me of the first time I discovered Dark Souls. My first experience of this game consisted of, like most people, failure, frustration, and a lot of end of, and actually more of. But that's not a surprise, isn't it? This game was new and the first of its kind. A game that prided itself on its high difficulty. I have seen and heard of Dark Souls before and thought, can't be bad, can it? So I played Dark Souls 2. Basic tutorial, done. Introductions to jumps, botched a few tries, but doesn't seem to be that bad. First boss, I fought the last giant, died a few times, but got through it fine. Little did I know that I was about to ram into an angry, vicious wall. I passed through the fog to face the Pursuer. This boss, depending on your knowledge of the game, would be your second to fourth boss. Designed as an imposing, top-heavy, levitating knight that kind of resembles the player in a way. If you weren't prepared for this fight, you will be destroyed. Needless to say, I died so many times in that fight that the same day, after fighting 2 hours of fighting the Pursuer, I quit. After the session, I complained loudly. The dodge is too slow. Why the fuck is the stamina consumption too high? Why have armor ratings if my character dies in a few hits anyway? Why do I need to run against enemies before I reach the boss? What the fuck is poise for? I was shocked to see and experience that the stories of how difficult the Dark Souls games were, those stories were not for show. It was not for show, it was the formula itself. The game was to throw you into the fire, hammer you down, and beat you. So the first time I came back, I did what I always did. I grinded for souls, but Dark Souls 2 had another surprise for me. Every time I cleared out hallways, there were fewer enemies. Side note, this was only a feature present in Dark Souls 2. They can be restored by burning an item in the bonfire, but I've never tried that. And this was the first time I played Dark Souls 2, or any of the Dark Souls games, period. I didn't know how to get to Hyde's Tower of Flame yet, nor did I know how to properly allocate stats. I didn't know where I can find the hidden walls in the game, but after grinding until no more enemies spawned, it still wasn't enough to defeat the Pursuer. Needless to say, he pounded me into submission. No matter how much I tried to crash into the wall, I can't seem to make a dent in it. So I quit the game for a long time. I think about a year, 6 months, I don't know. But I did go back to it. So after I stopped whinging, I played the game how it's supposed to do. I believe now that when games are made, there are specific rules you have to respect about it. If you can't, that's okay. Not all games are made for everyone. Soulsborne games are as much thinking games as they are action games. When you traverse an area or fight a boss, you will have to consider what moves the boss does, what enemies are in your corner, what enemies you will be encountering soon, how much damage those enemies or boss can cause you on your build, what attacks does my chosen build give me, and how the animation behaves, and all these weave together in a tightly built formula in where you have to put in all the variables to get the results you want. But you actually don't need to memorize everything I said. These things that I said will naturally come to you every time you play and lose the game. Every time you lose, you have to pay attention. Every time you win, you have to pay attention. Remember the 5 criteria? It's always there, but you never have to memorize it. It will come to you as you play and as you learn. I know I keep mentioning the formula and the 5 criteria and how it's ingrained in the series, but I think it is important to point that out. If you keep struggling in this game and keep trying, you will find something that will work for you. Something will click. I know I've said that before in the tutorial section. I do have a point. The game can be as easy and as hard as you want it to be. So after a while, I did find a build that works for me, and I was a Angabanga strength build. So when I first completed Dark Souls 2, I did imagine it happened kind of like this. Miyazaki succeeded in making his own fantasy role-playing game, now genre and gigantic series. Not only that, he reinvigorated a side of gaming fandom who loves a challenge. Elden Ring is amazing, Fromsoftware is still making games, and rumored to be making a new Armored Core game. So, where does that leave us? In the end, what did this game bring me? I did say I finished this game, but how did I fall in love with this game? Actually, I can't remember. I just know that I do. I was stuck writing this section of the essay for at least 2 years. In fact, I started writing this in 2020. It really felt like those times when I was fighting the pursuer with no actual clue what I was doing, forcefully throwing things that I thought would stick. So, in my infinite wisdom, I streamed Dark Souls 3 from the beginning. I have better hardware now. I thought I could stream this game. I was supposed to use an older Dex build save, which was at the end of the game, but when I built my new PC, for some reason my cloud saves from Steam didn't work, and that's gone. So yeah, so I set everything out, made the basic stream layout. Then I noticed something while I'm streaming. Everything keeps disconnecting every 2 to 10 minutes. My first stream ever was an embarrassing piece of garbage. I saved it, of course, because, I still need to know what I did wrong. I do need to keep track of my mistakes so I can learn from it. Then I checked on why I keep disconnecting. Apparently, my internet service provider was shit, so I had to buy a 3-year subscription to a VPN. So I started the stream in like after a month, and it crashed after my first try. So I checked my stream settings. There's too much shit open. Close them all. Start the game again. Pick a strength type build. Pick my legally distinct version of Oh, wait, it crashed again. So I started the game with a default face. Whatever. Woke up from my coffin, destroyed the Crystal Beast, but due to the special effect of the Crystal Beast Lizard, he will be sent instead to the Spell and Trap Zone. Go to the tutorial boss area, remove the sword, kill Gundyr in one try, because I'm a god. Then go to the Firelink Shrine. Smooth so far. Talk to the Firekeeper, teleport to the High Wall of Lothric, and aside from a few hiccups, I beat Vort in 3 tries, easy peasy. Got down to the Undead Settlement, fight the giant ugly tree full of eggs. Why does that thing remind me of the Great Dig from Yu-Gi-Oh? And after we're done with all that, finally got myself rid of that stupid shithead Crystal Sage. Move on to the swamp to get my favorite weapon. And nothing ever happens in Dark Souls swamps, right? Okay, get the Dragon Slayer. Summon my new best friend who got hard, and use his ass to fight the Abyss Watchers. Okay, so I know what you're thinking of. You wissy little bitch, how dare you use a summon to fight the boss? And I say, how do you say no to a man who got hard with his black hand? I know that's an immature joke, but you have to live with it now. Deal with it. But wait, you say. Are you really going to recall your whole experience from the stream in this video when you made 2 compilation videos that are already available in this channel? Good observation, astute strawman viewer. No, just as Wilson already mentioned, there are already 2 compilation videos that exists on this channel. Here's the thing, even after completing the game, I didn't get that feeling of accomplishment. And fair enough, that's a feeling you can chase but never actually reclaim. Because I think I already got good in my own way in this game. Maybe the feeling of getting good can only happen once and can only occur from experiences you've never experienced before. Luckily, I haven't played the Dark Souls 3 DLC just yet. And that is when I met Freyd. Freyd was the nemesis I never expected to meet. He's fast, brutal, and really, really mean. And she has 3 freaking forms. But for such a challenging boss fight, she still checks all 5 of Miyazaki's criteria. The fight took everything I can throw at her. Even after learning how to catch her before turning invisible, I still spent 4 hours fighting her. But eventually, I still had to stop. Stop the stream, rested. Then while I was grinding, all I could think of was, how do I beat Freyd? How do I fight this boss? And I was excited. I couldn't wait to fight her again. And I eventually beat her. And after all that, I still didn't get that feeling. I went in blind fighting Freyd. No preparation, no reading, looking at guides. The last thing I saw of Freyd was pretty much a condensed video anyway, so I couldn't pull anything from that. Also, I'm using a different weapon. It's hard to explain what I feel after I failed chasing that high. But there was something I noticed. I was having fun. I was formulating strategies casually. I was enjoying and joking around the world of Dark Souls 3. I enjoyed learning about the stuff I missed while I was streaming. I enjoyed learning about streaming. I can now enjoy the world of Dark Souls 3 casually. I took screenshots of all of the cool views. I was just loving every moment I spent in the game. The game has already succeeded. I have already embraced the struggle, and that struggle is no more than a normal part of the game, and by extension, my life. As a reward, I can now enjoy the other things this wonderful series has to offer: the level design, the world design, the bosses. I gushed over my favorite boss, the dancer. I also tried a different build in Elden Ring. I cleared that, and now I'm at my second save file of Elden Ring. Not New Game Plus, just I just made a new guy to mess around with. And for the first time in these games, I even pursued a side quest in the game and even got to a different ending. I credit these games with a lot. It improved my patience, my view on work and effort, and the importance of stopping when you're stuck, and that sometimes you just have to sit down and watch the waves. So, do you remember the fifth criteria? There must be a possibility for miracles to happen. Those magical moments that spread stories outside the confines of the game world. I thought every win was because of that, but it actually wasn't. You have to first go through all four. And I can't shake the feeling that this game has gotten under my skin so much that I think I've been applying all five every day. I started writing this in 2020 when the roughest waves of my life hit me. It's gone through numerous revisions, and believe it or not, this was written before the first two essays on this channel, and they were completed while this was being written. Back when I started writing this, I wanted to share something important I learned from the game. I wanted to say that no matter how hard it goes, you can get through it. You will find a way. It took me 2 years and another playthrough of the game to be comfortable enough to share that. And I get it. The Soulsborne games, they're just games. They're meant to entertain. It's not guaranteed that you'll get the same effects it had on me. But if it taught me anything overall, is that life frustrates us in many different ways. But not even death can stop you from finally achieving your final victory.